Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sure.
हेलो। ओके ओके।
Yes,
अब्दुल्ला,
sure.
आपको मैंने स्लाइड्स वाली ड्राइव भेजी थी, आपने वो देखी?
मैं देखता हूँ।
अच्छा,
देखता
मैं ना
Guys, we
आपको
are going
स्पीकर्स।
live.
ओके ओके ओके। Abdullah, we are having speaker 1 Zahra and speaker 2 Isleen and speaker 3 Yusuf. Got my point?
हूँ।
Yes, ठीक हो गया.
ठीक है।
ओके। और अ, जो ड्राइव लिंक मैंने अभी शेयर किया ना आपके साथ, उस ड्राइव लिंक में स्लाइड्स पिन की हैं।
ठीक।
We are going live. Recording on कर दूं?
यस प्लीज, गो अहेड महानूर। um participants के साथ शेयर हो गया लिंक। should I share with speakers right now or we have to wait for a few minutes?
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Am I audible? Can you all hear me?
Yes, Aisha, you are audible.
Okay, perfect. Assalamu alaikum everyone and a very good evening. I am Aisha Javed, the local officer of Research Exchange at Shifa College of Medicine, Shifa Tamil Millet International Islamabad, and I'll be your host for today's session. So, welcome to CB Fest 25 Day 2 Story session. We are really excited to have you all here. I'm also happy to share that joining me in the meeting today is Imama, Lori DJKMC, Dera Ghaziha Medical College, who will be co-hosting the session along with me, and Senior Abdullah Abid, who is our National Officer of Research Exchange. He plays an incredible role in coordinating research opportunities for students across the country and supporting us on the local level as well. So we are really lucky to have such passionate leadership. Today's session will focus on a very important topic for all researchers, and that is literature search and reference management. We are privileged to have with us three highly experienced trainers from IFMSA who will guide us through a crucial aspect of research, and that is literature search and reference management. So first, we have Sahraz Azmat. She has an extensive background in research education, serving as Nori of CMSA Indonesia, participating in the FMSA research camp in Jordan, training as a research trainer in India, and leading national workshops. With hands-on experience in both research and exchange training, she is here to provide valuable insights and skills to strengthen our research practice. Welcome, Zahira. How are you doing today? Mm. Zahra, are you here? You guys can hear me. You guys can hear me, right?
Yes, you are audible. Let me cross check with the speaker.
Oh, okay, perfect. I can wait then.
Yes, we are having Zara in the meeting. Hello, Zara. Are you listening to me?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Okay, over to you. Good luck.
My session is after Ishlin.
Okay, so we are having Isleen
Yeah,
for the
I'm
session.
just introducing our speaker first, and I'm asking how she's
Okay,
doing today.
okay. Thank you.
Zahra, how are you doing today? Okay, next we have Ishlin Damiwal. She has held multiple roles in SCORI, progressing from local and national levels to becoming an IFMSA certified TNET and TNRT trainer, and contributing to two General Assemblies as part of the SCORI sessions team. She brings deep expertise in research training and will help us master techniques that are essential for successful research writing. Welcome, Ishleen. It's great to have you with us today. How are you doing today? Ishlin, are you here with us? Okay, I will move on to our next speaker. We have Yusuf Gura. He began their journey in FMSA with a simple interest in research and exchanges, which grew into a passion shaped by over 130 hours of international training. As Nori of IFMSA Egypt, he has worked extensively to strengthen research education and is here today to share practical knowledge on how to conduct effective literature searches and manage references efficiently. Welcome, sir. How are you doing today?
Am I audible? Can you see me?
Yes, you're audible.
Hi. Thank you so much, Aisha, and hello, everyone. I'm really pleasure to be here today with you, and I hope we all benefit from this amazing session. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. We are really looking forward to learning from you today. Okay, so everyone, before we officially dive into today's session, let's warm up a little bit with a fun icebreaker. Imama, Ikra, can you please share the slides? Can you see the slides? Yes, perfect. Okay, next, please. Um, I'm going to ask you a few questions, but here's the twist. You have to give me only the wrong answers. The crazier, the funnier, the better it is. So don't think too much. Just drop your wrong answers in the chat box. Let's start with our first question. What is PubMed? So wrong answers only. Oh, gaming, nice. A movie. Art gallery. Oh, I like this one. PUBG for med students. Not a database. Yeah, social media app. Perfect. Let's move on to our next question. Okay. Why is plagiarism encouraged in research? Okay, so tell me what's the worst justification you have ever heard or you can come up with why for plagiarism might be encouraged in research? Oh, I like this one. Sharing is caring. Yeah, it requires so much effort. Oh, to help people work smart. Nice. Oh, because why waste time? I like the answer. I like your answer. No. Yeah, why to do things yourself if someone has already done it? Perfect. Okay, just a heads up. No matter what the excuse is, plagiarism is never ever acceptable or encouraged in research. Integrity and originality are the foundation of good research. So, no plagiarism. Okay, let's move on to our next question. Where do researchers get their data from? Where do researchers get their data from? Yeah, Instagram. Really? You phone? Um, that's a strange answer, but I like it. Oh, oh no, you said from Popov, okay? They dream of it. I like the answer. Neighborhood auntie, YouTube headquarters. You guys are like so creative. You all seriously have the best wrong answers ever. I'm genuinely impressed. Okay, moving on. What is the best place to publish your research? Oh, Maxi, nice. Walls of street. Like honestly, on street. Oh, oh, restaurant. Yeah, in the menu section. Oh, on Instagram. Sorry, story. Instagram. Yeah, absolutely. That's where all the Nobel Prize winners publish their groundbreaking research. Okay, so our final question is, why is I swear I saw it somewhere considered a valid citation? Convince me why that's the best citation method ever. Oh, because Pinky Promise is the goal? Or you never lie? That's a lie. Ah, yes. Yes, Abdullah, you're right. This tricks really help in Viva. Like when your examiner, when the external asks you a question, you'd be like, sir, honestly, I literally memorized it, but I saw it somewhere, but now I don't really remember. Yeah, 4-0 experience. Because I swear it is. Honestly, I'm learning so much today, though completely wrong things, but I'm still learning. So positive vibes only. Okay, now that we have had a fun warm up, let's see how much you really know about the research. We have a quick MCQ session lined up of 15 questions just to get you thinking and ready for today's learning. Ikfa, please, next slide. Okay, so don't worry, it's super chill. It's just for fun and engagement. Here's how it's going to work. I will read out each question and give you the options, and you will type the correct option in the chat box. So our first question is, what is literature review? Summary and analysis of existing research on a topic. or a list of books related to a topic, or a personal opinion on a research topic, or a collection of direct quotes from different sources? I'm already getting the answer. A. Okay, let's check if the correct answer is A. Yes, you guys are absolutely right. It's A. Literature review is basically the summary and analysis of the existing research on a topic. Next question is, what is the main purpose of literature review? To copy others' work? I think it's to copy others' work. Or to summarize gossip from the lab, to identify gaps and trends in existing research, or to impress your supervisor with some fancy words. Yeah, all of the above, correct. You guys are genius. Yes, it's to identify gaps and trends in existing research. Okay, next question is, which reference manager helps organize and cite sources? Is it Photoshop, Mendeley, Netflix, or a Notes app? Yay, it's Mendeley. We got our first answer, Mendeley. Option B, yep. Okay, so we're getting lots of B's in the chat. Interesting. The correct answer is Mendeley. Okay. Next question is, what should be avoided when writing a literature review? Paraphrasing, plagiarism, comparing studies, or synthesizing information? Again, lots of B's in the chat. Oh, D. Synthesizing information. No, it's not D. Oops. Not the three of them. It's always the plagiarism. Plagiarism is never ever acceptable in research. No, paraphrasing is not the type of plagiarism. Paraphrasing is something else. We should never ever confuse the paraphrasing with the plagiarism thing. So correct answer is plagiarism. Okay, next we have, yes. What does APA stand for in citation style? Awesome paper arrangement, all-purpose acknowledgement, academic paper authority, or American Psychological Association? I think that's a tricky one. Okay, we got American Psychological Association, and then we got C, awesome paper, C, American. Okay, your Google is not working right now. Guys, please don't cheat. Be fair. See, can I Google this? No cheating, please. Okay, D. Let's see what the correct answer is. It's the American Psychological Association. It's not B, it's not C, it's D. It's American Psychological Association. That was a tricky one, wasn't it? Okay. Next we have Which part of research includes the literature review? Is it abstract, introduction, conclusion, or the references? Okay, B, B, again B. Oh, D. Wait, references? No. We always write references like in the last section of the research paper. And literature review is kind of in the beginning. Yeah, D for dinner, okay. Introduction. Okay. Not both A and B. There's a difference in the abstract and in the introduction section. In the abstract, basically, you write a brief intro of your research, and then you also write the methods and methodology. Yes, and then you also write two more things in the abstract thing. I actually don't really remember, but yeah, you write this in the introduction part. Okay, so the next question is, what is in-text citation? Quoting means referring to a source within the body of your text, adding footnotes, or writing in invisible ink. Yeah, it's referring to a source within the body of your text. Okay, our next question is, which of these tools can automatically generate citations? Paint, word art, Zotero, or calculator? Yep, it's C. Okay, now, good job, everyone. Yes, please, now we're about to start the session. Awesome job, everyone. That was really fun, and honestly, you all did amazing. Now that we're all warmed up and in the research mindset, it's time to move on to the real highlight of today's session. As I have already introduced our speakers earlier, so now they will guide us through today's topic. I will hand it over to our first speaker to kick things off. Sahira, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Ayesha. I will share my screen first. Give me a moment. Okay, hello everyone. Can you guys see my screen? All good? Okay, thank you. Hello everyone. My name is Zahras Azimut. I'm from Chimsa, Indonesia. I'm still an IFMS research trainer, exchange trainer, and medical education trainer, and previously at Norwich Chimsa, Indonesia. And today I would like to talk about research management for academic excellence. And yeah, if you guys have any question, you can engage more with me in the chats too. Okay. So before we begin, this is like an introductory presentations about how to start a research, where to start, what should we do before we are about to start a research. So these are the topics that I will talk about today, and more detailed of certain topics will be discussed by the other speakers. So for the first one is about planning phase. There are identifying stakeholders, defining research questions, and identifying outcomes, and then project development phase, which includes protocol development, research operational manuals, ethic approval, grant application, activity planning, and also feasibility testing. And then study execution phase includes recruitment and enrollment, communication and decision making, quality assurance, and also data abstract analysis. And then lastly, about dissemination phase, where you can use presentation to publication, social media, and advocacy to translate your research into practice. So the first one is about planning phase. Um, the first one is about identifying stakeholders. This will be further discussed by Ishleen. However, what I want to highlight is before you start your research, if you want to do a primary research in a certain community, you must identify the stakeholders first. You must know what are the issue that they have, what are they planning to do, what are they lacking of. So you must know which who is the community leaders, who is the community members, and other organization that work the same goals as you to help that community. Make sure you engage early, be transparent, and also be present. Okay, up next for a planning phase, this is something that is very important for you to make proposals, to make your idea, to make your research question. So you need to understand the PICO, or some countries they also use PICO with T time. But what I want to highlight in here is just PICO. So P stands for populations. You know the target, you know the subject of your research, and then the intervention. What are you going to do? What is the new thing that you are going to offer? And then comparison, what are the usual methods that is being used, or what is the maybe like the gold standard or the commonly used things that you want to compare with your intervention. And lastly, it's the outcome. What are your target indicators are. This also includes the inclusion criteria and exclusion criteria to differentiate between population and the subject. And that's how you define the research question. And then next, about identifying outcome measures, you need to make a research hypothesis. For examples, if you have the outcomes is to, for example, you want to test out different medications. Medications A with the gold standard medication B. Then the outcomes or the research hypothesis that you are proposing is that the medication A provides a better or like faster recovery than medication B, and etc. That is a research hypothesis that you guys need to do. And then you must understand that when you are writing a research hypothesis, you must remember that you need to use SMART methods, which are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So everything about it must be feasibly understandable, feasibly possible, and not just when you're making a research, it's not just you dreaming big, but also make it as ground level and as achievable as possible. So up next is about Boolean operators. These are the methods of finding a research question. So you can use and, or, and not. In terms of if you're searching in a database, whether it is in PubMed, whether it's in Scopus, and etc., you always need to use these operators. Here are the example of Boolean operators. Wait a minute. So, for examples, you guys want to have a research about the correlations between essential oils and coronavirus. So, you need to use essential oils with the whole other names for essential oils. You use or. So, like essential oils or aromatic plants or volatile oils or aromatherapy. And then the correlations to coronavirus and coronavirus. What are the other names of coronavirus? coronavirus or SARS-CoV or COVID-19 or COVID, and etc. These are very important, and every database have different limits of how many n's you can use, but preferably is only to use 2 or 3 n. So make your research question as packed as possible. In that way, you will be able to generate all of the necessary research that you need, and make sure that if it gives you like a very wide papers, like perhaps like 50,000 or something like that, that like a really high amount of numbers, that means there are some things wrong with your Boolean operators. However, you must also acknowledge that if they gave you only like 100 or 200 research papers available in that database, even though if it's like PubMed or like um, Scopus, like a very huge database, you also need to realize or consider maybe there is something wrong with your Boolean operators. So this is a very important key to make your research paper meaningful, powerful, and not just you cherry picking any articles that you find that is correlates with your title. So yeah, this is a very important thing to remember. Okay, that's all of the things in planning phase. Now move on to project development phase. When we're talking about project development phase, we need to consider about research data management. This is where it is essential for us to ensure the integrity, quality, and accessibility of data generated from clinical study is a whole circle type of process. It's a going on process that needs to always be considered one and another. So this cycle on the right visually represents the key phases of research data management, starting from formulating a clear research question, followed by data search using the Boolean operators, and then creating a data management plan, then progressing into collection, description, and analysis of the data. And after the data analysis, we will move on to archiving the data properly, ensuring a long-term accessibility and security, making research findings available to wider scientific community. And a crucial point to highlight is that RDM is not a one-time process. Like I said, it's a cyclical, and sometimes based on findings, recollection or data reuse become necessary, and that's where the robust initial management makes a big difference. And that is why we can see that, you know, there are a lot of research being cited for over and over again, or maybe like will always use the newest research paper for this for your paper to be read. So uh, this is the whole more detailed research life cycle. Before starting a project, we begin with a solid research idea. This must be supported by preparing a thorough application, ethical approvals, planning for data management costs, and addressing issues like information governance and intellectual properties. And then once the grant are awarded, the research phase officially start. And here is where the researchers will focus on collecting data and generating new data while already applying for information governance and ethical methods to protect the research integrity while you're doing the research. And then during the research, the data must be managed carefully. This includes proper formatting, documentation, secure storage, and using collaboration tools. And in the archiving phase, we must ensure that the research data is properly stored and accessible while also respecting intellectual property rights. And lastly, the goal is to deposit research data, obtaining a DOI or digital object identifier for attribution, and publish the research finding. So this is, for example, the protocol development that I assume you guys will already knew about. And then this will also be will be discussed further with Joseph well, basically, protocol needs to include the background, the research question, and the objective of the research, and then the literature review, the whole idea of the research, the whole background of the research, and then the framework, including the theory framework and also the concept framework. And lastly, about the methods, it's is what the study design that you are choosing, the population, the sample, data management and analysis, and also the ethics. And if you guys want to make a research that is will involve a wider audience, make sure to have a research operation manuals. These are the samples that what we have in CHIMSA. And then these are also the example of what an ethical approval are and how to access it, how to apply for it. It is different in every country, in every university, in every hospital. And then this is, for example, a funding and grants applications. If you have your proposal ready, you can also apply for any available grants, whether it's in a local level, national level, or international level, according to your research project. And lastly, when you talk about project development, you also talk about activities that you can do, which include capacity building, training of people who wants to do the research itself, the whole methods of taking the data, collecting the data, and analyzing the data. Activity, you can make like the whole programs. For example, SCORI can collaborate with SCOF, SCORA, or other standing committees to create a specific issue that wants to be highlighted for a research. And then lastly, it's about advocacy. It's about how you communicate your research project to the government or other stakeholders that can help you achieve your goals. So this is another example with what we have in CHIMSA Indonesia. Our activity is called SCORI Goes Public. It is a national project implemented in every local, and this project, SCORI member can increase their knowledge and train their abilities in research. So they can provide contribution to CHIMSA or NMO and the surrounding community too. With the objective of these activities are improve understanding of our members through research training and activities, support the SDG goals and the CHIPS program, and also promoting SCORI to other locals. And in order to obtain strong foothold in future projects as well. So these are the examples of what we have. We have like 4 level, which the local needs to do level 1 or 2 and level 3 or 4. Which includes level 1 and 2 is just training. It's just like us giving a research training for the members to prepare themselves to conduct their own research. And then in level 3 and 4 is where they take their data. Is it in university level or in community level? With the output of scientific abstract and or scientific poster and or scientific publication and or social media publication. And then this is also another example. We have like a multi-centered research where we conduct a research in a national level and our locals will take the data for us. The last one is about the socio-demographic loneliness and quality of life in geriatrics patients. And then we also have an exchange in Global Action Project. If you guys know that we can conduct 4 types of research project in exchange. One of which is Global Action Project, and that is where we take data from the community and then we can use it to make a research. And yeah, that's something to highlight about if you guys want to make a Global Action Project type of exchange. And then lastly, about study execution phase, this will be further discussed with Joseph too. But yeah, what I want to highlight is that in order to make a research, you need to recruit and enroll a suitable person, starting from a very capable person and maybe someone who wants to learn more about research. And that way there will be an ecosystem of learning and also sharing knowledge. Communication and decision making is something that is also needs to be highly considered when doing a research. And lastly, it's about quality assurance. Research is not about quantity, but it's about the quality itself. And then this is the data abstraction to analysis, which we can use is which is something that we can use is a common survey-based research methods, which includes online survey, phone survey, face-to-face survey, cross-sectional surveys, and longitudinal survey. And then after that, when we have collect our data, we can analyze the survey data in medical research using a cleaning and organizing data, descriptive analysis, inferential analysis, data visualization, and also reporting the results. And then lastly is about dissemination phase, which in IFMAC there are research fair in every General Assembly, in August meeting and March meeting, which you guys can apply and also present your research. These are the example of what we do. And then you guys can also submit it to a publication. And then you guys can share the results to social media. What are your findings are. This is like the easiest way to communicate your research to others. And then lastly, it's about advocacy, which you want to translate your research paper to practice, to policy, to the official stakeholders, and yeah, to further advance your advocacy efforts. IFMSA have released a policy document which contains IFMSA concern and stances on an issue existing in our society. You guys can check it down below, and there are a statement that is needed as an official statement on behalf of IFMSA and its members. You guys can use these policy documents to communicate your research project that is already done. And yeah, that's it from me. Thank you so much. If you guys have any question, you can speak or you can chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very informative. Guys, if you have any question, you can write down in the chat box or you can open your mic. I think so. There is no such question for you, Zahra. Thank you so much. Okay, next we have.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, next we have our another speaker, Aishtine. Are you here?
I'm here.
Okay, the floor is yours now.
Thank you so much. So, guys, you had a really informative session by Zaras, and she ended on the topic policy documents or advocacy. That is something me and Zaras, we are both very, very passionate about. So, I would like to ask you guys, what do you understand by advocacy? Any idea? What do you mean by advocacy, or what does it mean to you as a person or as a part of IFMSA NMO or anything? Just one word answers, or maybe you could unmute yourself and speak. Anyone in the chat box? What do you mean by advocacy?
Voting
You
or
could take a
participating
guess.
in the
Sorry?
public false or false.
Mm-hmm. That could be an answer. Yeah, advocacy is to speak for a principle, correct? You could speak for a topic, mainly to be vocal about something, as in to express our views about something. So, a main part of advocacy is to know how to advocate. Like, everyone knows that there are some good things and some bad things in society, and we want to progress towards the good things. But how do we do that? That is advocacy. Supporting or promoting a particular topic. That's correct. Of course, it's haram. She knows. Support from another person. Correct. Yeah. Advocacy is done to get support from other people, from people who are maybe not yet aware about the topic. Yeah, policy making. Policy making is part of advocacy. So to advocate for a topic, you need to have an in-depth knowledge about the topic. So you need to classify your information, like you have to manage your data, you have to manage your stakeholders, like in order to have an ultimate goal, right? For example, you want to have a college fest. How many people do you want to have there? What all permissions do you need? Who do you need to keep on a priority? Like, for example, the dean of the college, the principal of the college needs to be tackled first. They need to be satisfied with everything. Then and then only the event will occur. This is how advocacy works, like basically classifying all your resources and using it to the best so that we have maximum outcome. Like our next session revolves around this topic, and now I'll start sharing my screen. At any point, if you feel like sharing your thoughts or maybe asking any questions, you can just write it in your chat box, or you could unmute yourself and speak. I'm okay with that as well. Mm, is my screen visible? Could someone please confirm?
Yes, it is
Okay,
visible.
thank you. I could not see the chat box. Okay, so this is our game from yesterday. So hopefully everyone is feeling either one, two, or three, and not the rest of the cats. Because research tends to be a little boring and everyone gets fear, and when you put so much data in front of people, everyone is like cat on the ninth number. Everyone is sleeping, and then you have to get them to work. That's why research workshops are one of the most difficult workshops to have student engagement. Like we have to do energizers and games every 30 minutes, otherwise people keep sleeping. So coming to the main topic, what is stakeholder? Stakeholder meaning any person who has a position of power or the person of interest. So it could be a person, it could be a group, it could be a college, anyone who could have potential relation to that uh, subject or to the principle, to the topic. So that person is a stakeholder. Stakeholder is a term which we also use in share market, if you know, where you put your funds. And stakeholder is any person who buys certain funds. So this is stakeholder mapping. It is one of the most important topics that we have in advocacy and IFMSA. If you learn stakeholder mapping, you have almost learned 50% of what advocacy is. So as you can see, there are 4 boxes. So we have the first box being keep satisfied, the second one being manage closely, and then monitor and keep informed. So this is a basic overview. The main chart looks like something like this. So it's power versus interest. Power is someone who can make decisions, for example, dean of the college or government individuals, someone who will make the laws. And interest is somebody who has genuine interest in the topic, like students or maybe like NMOs or general public, anyone who has interest. So this is how we classify them, and we put them in these boxes accordingly. So say the dean of the college has high power, but has low interest in doing any activities because it's a medical college. So we will put them in the keep satisfied box, as in we will tell them that okay, this is how we are doing it, this is how the security will be maintained, this is how we'll acquire funds. You cannot ignore them, but you will have to manage them nicely. Now, the teachers of the same college, which are very, very involved in the functions, they have power, but they also have interest. So they would come and manage closely box. So you will have to tell them on daily basis that what is the update now, what did we do today. So this is how that works. Then you would have people who do not want to participate, students basically, or maybe seniors who are busy in studying. They do not have power and they have zero interest. So they are in the monitor box. You basically monitor their activity so that they don't ruin your function. And then we have other people like the security guards and stuff, because of the high amount of people coming, so they will have to be informed that okay, this is the amount of security we need to make certain arrangements. So this is how the stakeholder analysis works. Now you could put it under any topic for anything. For example, you want to start a new research. So who are the people with high power? Maybe the ethical board of the college would be someone who has high power, who will approve your project, but they have little interest because they have so many projects to approve. So they would be in the yellow box. So then you would have your tutors, people who would closely work with you once you get the approval. That would be the teachers, the tutors, or the main guide that you have for your research. That would be in the red box. There's a reason why it is in red, because it is one of the most important boxes. And the upper two are the important ones basically, but the red one is like, okay, have this in your mind always. So the teacher needs to be satisfied. You need to talk to them politely. You need to tell them what am I doing, how am I contributing, what are we doing as a team, update them on a daily basis. Then we have somebody who has low power and low interest. Now, this could be the individuals involved in your data collection, people that you will anonymize later, and their name won't be mentioned, but you're using the data. So they do not have any power and they do not have any interest, but you need to monitor them. For example, you need to take their consent before you acquire their information. This is why you monitor them. Then you have other people like the labs. If you are using, for example, HbA1c levels, so you will have to keep the pathology lab under surveillance, that okay, I will bring samples on a daily basis and you will have to process them for me, maybe make a spreadsheet of all the results that we have. So this is how this works. Do we have any doubts regarding this stakeholder analysis? Uh, and the question is the participants of data like patients come in green. Yeah, correct. The people that we acquire the data from, like for example, the age, the height, whatever you have of a patient, they would become participants in a research study. So yeah, they would come in green box. So now we have a little activity. So you are a student who's preparing for final exams in a challenging course, MBBS in this case. So how would you classify each other? Like, what are the stakeholders and how will you put them in these boxes? It's, let's say it is your final month before your exams, 1 month to your exams. How, what are the stakeholders and how are you going to manage them? I need answers now. This is nice. This is engaging. Tutor is red. Yeah, true. Tutor is red. Parents are yellow. Friends is green. Okay, yeah. Friends could be green. And who is a yellow person? Someone who has high power but low interest for your
Parents.
exams.
Parents.
Correct. Parents. Not really interested in the studies, but they do want us to study. So that's yellow. Parents.
They have high
Who is
power.
very high power? Power of
Especially
slippers, actually.
especially at result.
Oh God, yes. Then who's in the blue box? Keep informed box. Somebody who has high interest and does not have power as high as our parents.
Siblings.
Yeah, siblings, someone, especially if someone is in the same college as you, or maybe in the same course as you in a medical stream, then they'll keep calling you saying that, oh, study this topic for final exam, oh, study this is how you study it. So you will have to keep them informed regarding all your daily activities. And who are the managed closely people? This is what I want to read now. Who are the managed closely people? The red box.
Tutors or teachers, something.
Someone who has power and has interest. Think about it as a student.
Tutors.
Your classmates, someone who is studying with you, competing with you, your competitors.
How come?
Oh God, yes. Then you have colleagues in green while teacher in red. Correct. Colleagues in green. Yeah. Examiner. Okay. The Viva person. Relatives in blue. They will ask everything. The blue. Okay, they have high interest but no power. Okay, yeah. They will ask about your results once the results are announced. They are in the blue box. Correct. So basically, everyone has an idea about how this matrix works. It's very important in IFMSA. Now, this is also a part of the stakeholder allegiance. So, this is basically opponents, advocates, followers, and blockers. These are the four people that you need to take care of. Opponents are obviously the people who are against the idea. Advocates are the people who want to support you regarding the same ideas. And we have blockers in the sense that they don't want to do anything. Not that they are opposing the same idea, they just don't want you to speak. And then there are followers, people who do not have a voice, but if you start advocating for something, they will, follow you. For example, a social media post, are do they understand that post completely? No. But will they like it? Yes. Will the post gain engagement? Yes. So that is more of a follower thing. Now, if you could see on the y-axis, we have here understanding about the issue and agreement over course of actions. So this is basically how it works. Blockers are something which we need to be aware of, the people that you should take care of, because if not handled properly, they cause problem in future. When you talk about blockers in research, this could be a teacher or a tutor who does not want to do research with you. Maybe they just don't want to do the research this year, and that's why they will never give you the ethical clearance. So you would never start the project. So they are more of a blocker than an opponent. So you need to stay away from those people. Don't have a blocker in your life. Or maybe your guide or the second person, the second author who's working with you does not work at all, and you are the only one who's working. So that person will also become a blocker. Indifferent people are who do not have understanding and who do not really care. So these are usually the subjects who do not care about what you're doing. As long as you're giving the results, they're okay, they're fine with it. So more of the stakeholder analysis. Advocates are people who drive change, and that's what we learned. These are the internal champions and sponsorships. Like if you consider conducting an event, an on-ground event like a drive or a blood donation drive or something like that, something that would require funds. So advocates are the people who get you funds. Like they go place to place, communicate, have a pitch. Pitch is something that you do to your stakeholder in a very short span of time. We call it elevator pitch in IFMSA. So it's like if you enter an elevator and you only have the time that you take from going to one floor to the other, for example, just 60 seconds. And in those 60 seconds, you will have to explain to your stakeholder, who am I, what am I doing, why am I vocal about this topic, everything. That's how the pitch works. And these are the people who do it, advocates, and they do have good communication skills. Then you have the followers, people who like the sticklings following the duckling, the mama duckling. This is what followers do. Like they do not take leadership, but they do follow. This is also important in order to have advocates. Like learning from each other is also important. And but they could easily be deviated from part in the sense that anyone could say, oh, this is not beneficial, and then they would leave you immediately. So it's important to keep them engaged, like to keep them satisfied. Like the public force, on ground force that you have, local committees, it's important to have a good local committee. Blockers, people who show resistance, obviously, as we discussed. Then you have opponents, usually people of the same class, of the same batch are your opponents, people who do not want you to go ahead, and or people who have rivalries with you. So these are the opponents, they need to be taken care of, and they're usually in the red box of stakeholder analysis. Indifferent people, the people who do not really care. So external partners mapping. Why do we need them? So that we have different plans for each situation. In case something goes wrong, the plan should not fall apart. You should have a backing and you should know how to deal with it. That is why we have stakeholder analysis. In case one of the boxes fails, you have three boxes and you would know how to tackle them according to the time you have. For example, you have a really short span of time, so you would handle the upper two boxes first, like the dean, the teachers. They are the more important ones, and you will handle them first, and the rest of the things can wait. But if you have extensive amount of time, for example 6 months, so you will work on all the four boxes. Now, putting it into research perspective, the most important thing would be ethical clearance, right? You get ethical clearance from your college or university. The second most important would be finding a tutor, finding a teacher who supports you. So those should be the main goals, and they would be your top priority, the top two boxes. Then we have external representation. This is something that we talked about, like the elevator pitch, the 30-second pitch. You will have to tell them who am I, what do I do, and why am I contacting them, what do I want from them, and in the end, you will have to tell them how to get in touch with me. For example, give them your phone number or your email or anything in case they want to offer you something so that they can contact you. And uh, advocacy is always about giving reminders, as in you cannot just be like, okay, I'm going to a person asking for a very very large amount and they'll give it to me in the first instance. No, that's not going to happen. You will have to keep bugging them, you will have to be persistent on it, and you will have to keep asking for it. That's why they will give it to you. So that's how even research fundings work. Sometimes you need demands or grants from your colleges, right? So this is how it works. Like you will have to give them reminders, polite reminders, that okay, this is what I did. You recommended some changes. I did those changes. Can we please move ahead with it? That's how advocacy works. Like you will have to be persistent about it. We covered this. Okay, so now how do you find your stakeholders? Like this could be done in an offline activity on ground, like you take a chart paper and you think of all the people that are related to their activity, like from A to Z, all the people that you can think of: dean, teachers, your classmates, the security people, the canteen people, uh, the hospital staff, anyone and everyone who would be involved there. So think of all those names, write them on a piece of paper, and that's how you accumulate all your stakeholders. Then categorization into the four boxes that we earlier discussed. Then you put each of those stakeholders into the four boxes and you realize who are the more important ones, who are the less important ones, and how do we manage our time. Maybe you could also divide four teams handling all the four different stakeholders so that the tasks do not overlap and you manage it efficiently. Prioritization. We also discussed this, meaning that if you have small amount of time, you should handle the upper two boxes first. So you will have an idea that okay, these are the important ones. Without this, the event would fail. Without this, I won't be able to start my research, and these are the people that I need to prioritize. Then communication, you will have to give them a means of communication in the sense that emails or phone numbers or something, so that if they have feedback for you, they can get in touch with you. Or maybe you could not get a funding this year, but next year they want to do it for you so that they can get in touch with you. So you should give them constant reminders or maybe tell them about your activities. That is important. Then SWOT analysis. Any doubts until now, guys? None so far. Okay. In case someone has doubts, please feel free to stop me and ask your doubts. We have SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. This is also part of activity management or research management. What are the strengths of this research? What are the weak points? What do we gain from this research? And what is something that could stop it from happening? This is very important in all activities of all standing committees. This is usually done before we start it, and then we shift boxes. I'll show you. So this is also 4. So we categorize it into external and internal boxes. So the upper one is opportunities, then we have threats, weakness, right? And how do you handle it? Now we'll learn it with help of an example. So this is how it works. You have external opportunities, external strengths, and internal weaknesses. How do you handle it? Basically, we convert the boxes. We go from right towards the left side. Like the threats are converted into opportunities, the strengths are converted into, the weaknesses are converted into strengths. That's what we do. That is how this TOWS analysis works. If you want to categorize it, you could, but this is the easier way to do it, like to convert the weaknesses into strengths and threats into opportunities, so that the activity does not fall apart and you know of all the shortcomings that could happen, so that we are prepared for all the situations. Then you have PESTLE analysis. PESTLE analysis is something which is not really related to research, but it is more related to activity management. We have research activities in school, and this like you could have a rough idea of what PESTLE is. PESTLE, the first P is usually something, the documents, something that is beyond our control. E is the financial strength we have, the economic strength, the financial strength, the funds that we have. You categorize them pillar wise, and then you allocate 6 committees for each of them. Like we have IT cell in every NMO, right? So that is a purple one. And then the E, you would say E is not important or red is not that important. It becomes important when you do offline events. For example, if you're having an NGA or you're having an donation camp, blood donation camp, or something like that, you will have to take the weather conditions, environment basically into consideration, so that in case it rains, what are you going to do? You cannot let people donate blood in open air, right? So you will have to give them cover. You'll have to make sure everything is fine. In case it's too hot, you'll have to provide fans. In case it's too cold, you'll have to provide them with cover up or something, right? So that is the E. Then the last L is legal laws. Like this is the reason why we have bylaws in IFMSA, so that you are legally protected, you're legally guarded. Even before going to an exchange, we sign contracts, we sign COCs, right? So that in case anything goes wrong, we are covered from all sides. So this is the final aspect. You can also apply it to research in the sense that how long is your research going to go on. That would be the E part. Legal would be, is that research allowed in my country? Maybe testing on animals is not allowed, or maybe as a student you're not allowed to do phase 4 trials. That would be a legal issue and the project would clash. So for this, you won't have to go to your college to give you a refusal. You can self-analyze that my project won't work and maybe I will have to make some changes here and there. So okay, now we are planning a trip with our friends, and we will have to do it with the pestle that we had. So what do you think? How is this going to work? If you are to plan a trip with friends, what is the P? How is it going to work? P could be the visa that we get for countries that could be a part of P. What could be the E? I'm so sorry, man. Dog. Railway track? E? Yeah, true. The transportation tracks could be E. Currency, yeah, currency. The funds that you need to go to the trip with your friends, but the money that you need would be E. What could be the S? S could be your friends group, the people that you're going with. You cannot go with irresponsible people. You will have to choose people who take care of themselves and no one gets lost on the trip. Then you will have to have phones or maybe compass or maps or something so that you know where you are. Technology with you, basically. So that is how you apply PESTLE. PESTLE is usually used in activity management, something that you do on ground. This is one of the final phases of stakeholder analysis. Like, we have done the stakeholder analysis, everything is functioning fine. We are on the final stages. That's when we do PESTLE and make sure that okay, all aspects from all sides are covered. Then we have this. This is also done. This could also be done as a feedback in the core competency analysis. Like, you describe competencies. For example, if you go for a workshop or you enroll in an IFMSA workshop, they tell you what are the competencies we are doing. Or in many countries, even medical education system works like this, that you have competencies, the main heading of it, like what are we going to do. Then there's a description, like a described way of telling, basically a long way of telling the competency. Then you have the importance. How important is it? Like, in exams we mark questions, right? This question is very important, this is a 10-year question, I need to do it. Then there's defensibility. Will be able to defend this topic. There are some topics that you cannot defend. For example, laws of the nation. No matter how right you are, you have to follow the laws. There is no way beyond it. It is not defendable. Then we have competency strength. What strength does it give you? For example, if you're having a donation drive, that is a good cause, everyone would want to support it. So that is something that would have really high competency strength, something that would get you support from the name itself. That is how you score it. And we have Gantt charts. Gantt charts are also used in activities that carry on for years. This is also used in exchanges in many countries, so that they have an idea of how things are working or how do you carry on with things. Because in exchanges we have many things like CC, we have AFCC, and you have card of confirmation, card of documents, and all those things. And you have to manage multiple people, multiple students. So Gantt charts is a chart that you could make in Excel and plot it accordingly. Like, it's very easy to plot, but it is a way how exchanges work, and then you refresh it every year, and you could also compare data from last year to this year. This is also valid in activities that keep coming, like you do every year. For example, if you do health camp on your Independence Day every year, you could do it. So you could plot a Gantt chart for it, and you could improve your ways of doing it every year. Then we have the Eisenhower matrix. Eisenhower matrix is the last matrix that we'll do. Eisenhower matrix is very similar to the stakeholder analysis that we have, but it varies in the way that how are you going to allot your tasks. For example, we work as a team of people, right? How are you going to handle them? So for the first quadrant, you would reduce the work. You would try to get as less permissions as possible. Like, do the work on yourself. Like, don't have things that would require many permissions. Like, maybe if you could do it in a public property, do it in a public property rather than a private property, so that you would need less permission for it. Then you have scheduling tasks. Schedule is something that the higher position people have take care of. For example, the NMO president or the executive board, they handle it, they schedule it. Like, they need to be done, but they need to be done with care. That's why we schedule them. Then you have delegation of tasks, like the national team delegates tasks to the local team. So that the work is reduced and it is not that important. For example, if there is a little mistake or there's a blunder, it won't create a big problem. That's why the quadrant 3 and quadrant 4 are not that important. Decluttering is basically organizing the information. Like, you have so many PPTs from the CB week, but if you make different folders for them, they're decluttered and you will find them easily in future. That's what decluttering means. Then there's leadership. You know that skills that make a person capable to lead a team. Delegation of tasks is sharing responsibilities. with each other, from usually from the higher category to the lower one, from the leaderships to the people working on ground. Then there's successful delegation. There are many things that you will have to do. You'll have to make a safe space for them where they can express their opinions in case someone is not happy. You'll have to take care of them because with rights come responsibilities. So if you're in a leadership position, you will have rights to do certain things, but also you will have the responsibility to take care of their mental health. And you will have to be open to suggestions and ideas. Whatever someone says, in case someone has a different idea, you will have to respect it. Then you'll have to take care of the time that they have, and everyone has a unique skill. Like all of us sitting here have different skills. Maybe I like PRC, you like advocacy, someone here likes data more. So according to their interest, if you delegate them tasks, it becomes easier and the task is done in a better way. This is why we always have forms to fill up for any opportunity, so that we don't drag people come by themselves. That is, they sign up for it and they can choose accordingly. That's how it's done. Hopefully I have not taken. And there are different apps for it. You have Canva, you have Photoshop, you have Google Drive. In handover, it's a very important practice that most of the data or any PPTs, anything that you have in your NMO should be in the NMO account, right? So you have a Google Drive made, in the sense that next year, whoever comes, like whoever the new Nori is, gets all the information. We don't have to transfer data manually from phone to phone. You just share them the ID password, and then they get everything that they want to. So this is how handover works, and this is why data management is important. You have to think from the first day that okay, this should be available to the next Nori, this should be available to the next Lori. I have to do it in such a way. I have to organize my data in such a way. So there are different apps to do it. Okay, we have time for picture. I think I'm done from my side. Do you have any questions, guys? Anything?
Thank you so much, Ishleen. That was well delivered and honestly really informative.
Thank you so much. In case anyone has any question, you can always text me. And I won't take much time. I think Buddha is there. We can start with the next session. If anyone does not have questions, of course.
Yeah, let's just have a quick group photo to remember this
Okay.
moment. Would really love to capture this memory with all of you. It would be like so nice to see everyone's smiling faces. So everyone, please turn on your cameras for just a moment for the group photo.
Yeah, the people in India, we had a thing that if you do not turn on your camera, we will not send you the certificate. And we legit did it. People who did not turn on the cameras, we did not send them the certificates. So people did turn on the cameras.
We are going to do this from this session onwards.
Hi, I'm seeing Haram after a really long time. I saw her last in Finland.
Oh, yes. I'm
So
glad to
nice.
see you here.
Glad to see you too. People turn on your cameras. Your president has turned on the camera. Supervisory council member now.
Yeah, my cameras are working. Wait, let me fix it. Yeah, I see most of us are already turning on cameras.
Mm-hmm.
I
We
think
have
that
Ura
picture
with
worked.
us. It worked?
Abdullah, please turn on your camera. Otherwise, the first certificate we are going to miss is from
Yes,
national officer.
I have already opened. Daraasal, I have opened it on from my phone and
Oh
taking
yes,
picture
I'm seeing
from
right now.
It's so funny. It always works.
honestly, my camera isn't working. Gosh.
It's okay, we'll just Photoshop you and then we don't
Says
have
go
an
to
option.
Somebody is saying that please don't give these ideas. We are not looking professional. We are not.
It's okay, no one looks professional this late at night. You're fine.
Exactly.
It's too
It's
late.
9:30.
God bless my internet. I don't know how much long do I have my internet for. We take the photo before I do not have internet anymore. That would be really embarrassing. It's still fine. In IFMSA, we do poses, like different poses for different committees. For
Yes, we
Scori,
can
it's
try
this.
different poses.
Okay.
Like this is for Scori, I think. It's DNA. The double helix,
Abdullah, we
yeah.
can give 1 more minute and then take pictures.
Yeah, okay.
This. Then you have AP poses. AP is, I think, this, Asia Pacific. I saw EMR people doing this. Good, am I right? Do they do this? Not sure. But AP is this.
Like this.
We'll do
It's supposed to be like a cup of tea. So it's
Oh,
like this.
this. Yeah.
Pictures done.
It's done?
The pictures.
Oh no, it's done already.
Pictures done?
I just
How
missed
come?
There was no
Who
countdown exactly. Even I was
took this
waiting.
picture? You should say 1, 2, 3 so that we can
Last
all
picture.
pose.
Yes, please count down and then take pictures with exact photos.
That's unfair.
What are these people doing? Oh my God, guys, have you seen those memes? The war memes that are on our Instagram.
Exactly. The whole
Too good. Too good. Like it's really sad the incident that occurred. But the memes, they're like, oh, we need to save Hania Amir, we need to save Imtiaz Ali, we need to save Atif Aslam. India is more worried about that.
Some people were saying that we are worried that do we have to prepare for MDCAT this year or not? Medical exam.
People are like, it's okay.
MCAT as well as NEET side by side, you know.
Oh yeah,
Both
sure.
sides.
God knows what you answer next year. My
People
God,
are doing
girls here are
sessions
going
together.
crazy. Girls are like, oh, we need to buy suits from Lahore. It's okay, do the war. We'll come to Lahore, buy our suits, and then the war will end. That's what people are doing in India. Nonsense people.
People are so excited like it's a game, PUBG game.
Yeah. War going on. Oh God. And nothing is going to happen. I'm quite sure nothing is going to happen. It's just memes.
It's just meme. It's
I'm
just
having something for you in your session.
Okay,
Am I
are we done with
audible?
the pictures? Yeah, you are.
Okay. So I'm just having one thing. Just give me 1 minute. Here it is.
Oh.
I
So
thought to
cute.
take it in the last session.
So cute. That's the mascot, right? Did you give it a name?
Yes, they're Weddles.
What is the name?
Weddles.
Oh, Waddles. Nice. You know, there's a competition in IFMSA where they steal mascots.
Yeah, I
India's
know.
mascot got stolen, and it got stolen
Oh
in
my
India
God.
itself. That is the amount of security India had when we had General Assembly in India.
That time in General Assembly. Yes,
Yeah.
I attended when online due to issues of visa
In
issues.
in Delhi it occurred, and then me and my Nori, we were signing contracts. We were not that aware of our mascot because we were more worried about the contracts. And then in the end, we had no mascot my God. Then we got
God.
scoldings from our president that you two lost the mascot. Oh God. Did we take the picture, by the way?
I don't know. Maybe they have taken it, but we were not posing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably then just Photoshop me. Just put a good photo of me.
Yeah.
I think so. We're done with the picture thing.
Okay. So
Here is
Yes.
our
thank you,
note.
guys.
Okay.
Yes,
I
done
think
with
we
it.
should let Guda take the session now. It's late for his session.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm really
No,
sorry.
I'm actually enjoying the engagement.
The gossips, India-Pakistan gossips.
India,
Yeah.
Pakistan war gossip.
Oh
Yes,
God,
it's
he
actually
doesn't know
good.
it yet.
I don't
Actually,
usually engage with Asia Pacific people, so I'm really happy to be here now.
it's okay. We'll
Asia,
send you memes. We'll send you
Yeah.
memes and
Yes, please. And news.
Do you know about the memes, all that? About the war memes like going on?
Well, I am in
no.
some groups on WhatsApp, so I see some memes, but I don't understand really what's going on.
Oh, you're missing
The thing is,
missing
India and
out of
Pakistan India and Pakistan are almost about to get to war, but the people are not worried about war. People are worried, what are we going to do once the borders are not there? They're worried about eating food, they're worried about getting clothes, they're worried about the entrance exams that
actors,
we'll have next year.
actresses.
Actors, actresses. Cricket
Actually,
teams
people
that
are not.
India would get bowlers and Pakistan would get batters. That's what we're worried about.
Yeah, people are not taking
didn't
seriously.
give a vibe of war.
Oh
That
God.
Salman Khan will be married in Lahore in that
Hmm.
in street called Nikah Gali something. Some people are saying Salman Khan will be getting
Yeah, Salman
yeah.
Khan was
I
waiting all his life to get married there in Nikah Gali in Lahore, of course. Lahore is like 30 minutes from my college.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
You
I'm
live
on the
in
border
Amritsar
area.
or what?
Yeah,
Have
I
you ever
studied
visited
Amritsar.
Pakistan?
I'm not been to Pakistan as such, but I'm like my parents were from Pakistan before partition. Our
My
families were from
parents,
Pakistan.
my forefathers were from India, from
Oh.
Bala region.
I don't even know about the forefathers.
And it's
I know.
me from Kashmir, the main center for war between Pakistan and India.
Here we go, the Nuri.
Yes,
Over to
The
Abdullah.
Nuri is giving insights.
maybe I can be the Nori of MSI, MSAI too,
Oh,
or we can
do you know MSCI is suspended?
You
Did I
know
get
what?
your
MSI is not
connection?
or
calling it for people.
we can plan exchange programs within us between Pakistan and India during the war time. It would be so nice.
Yeah, the exchange can be easier. That's the point.
Oh
Then
God,
we will
yes,
do
we will get
exchanges.
visas.
Without visas, without
Yeah,
any other
without
problem,
visas.
and we will make exchanges. We will make Kashmir the main location for the exchange program.
For sure.
Yeah,
So
the
nobody could
for
get
visa.
home
We'll
safely.
we'll have a
Collaborate with
research
Indian
camp
forces.
in
You can
Kashmir. We'll have a
collaborate
Kashmir,
with
research
Indian
camp.
forces.
So that we can't have the
Kashmir is
data over
still the
there.
safest place between Pakistan and India, and
Actually,
I do
Abdullah is
invite
from
all
Kashmir.
people.
Okay, he's being dark now.
Oh God, safest place. But people are okay. Tourists have already gone to Kashmir again. It's not like India fears anything. They're more worried about losing their tickets and hotel bookings and shit. They're like, it's okay, so what? We're going to Kashmir again. People are
This
going
is
there.
called priorities.
Priority stakeholder mapping. This is what they're doing.
We are the blue one. Yeah, we are the blue ones. We don't have power.
Don't
We're
care.
not interested.
Okay, special offer for all the Scori members all over the world, including Yusuf too. During whether the war starts or not, whatever happens, you all are invited in Kashmir on both sides, in Indian occupied and in Pakistan occupied.
Should I bring
Yeah,
something?
it seems more like Mr. Chips. Abdullah, you are giving the vibes of Mr. Chips.
Am I invited to death?
Oh God.
I mean, I want to go to this area and
Everything
speak
was
about
Cody.
Pakistan.
Kashmir. Kashmir is like, he
Kashmir.
doesn't know what Kashmir is. Kashmir is like Switzerland. It's like mountains, tulips, and it's so pretty that two countries are fighting for it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I know
Called
Kashmir is
heaven
my
on earth.
area.
Called heaven
Yeah.
on earth.
It is called,
Yeah,
it is
it's
called a
really
piece of
pretty.
heaven on earth, but it's always a hell over here.
Well,
So
actually, in
Okay.
Egypt, we have like a certain type of cloth. It's called Kashmir. And
Mhm.
people, like when they hear that there's actually a land that's called Kashmir, they think it's called after the cloth, not the other way. So
Oh.
that's our information about Kashmir. But I know that it's an
Mm.
area of dispute and so on.
Have you ever
Dispute
written essay over
memes.
Kashmir? Because we people used to write essay with Palestine issues. Have you ever write essay with Kashmir topic?
yeah, that's the
And
question because
No,
not really,
Palestine
because
is
people
serious.
I
No one
remember
makes
it was
memes
my
about.
10th.
actually
Like
people
it
here
was
don't understand. Like if you tell them that
Oh
Pakistan and
yes.
India are having wars, they wouldn't know. They all think you're all good together.
Yeah.
So it's not
Pakistan
really
and India
popular.
just have meme wars. They don't really fight. They're just like relatives who
Yeah.
curse each other, and then at the end of the day, they're a big family eating the same
Yes.
food, wearing the same
That's
clothes.
what we think. Yeah.
and then they come on a YouTube drama and they say that, oh, Indian here, Pakistan, and on Indian
Yes,
songs,
yes, yes, yes,
Pakistani
yes.
here, love from Pakistan.
Yeah, exactly. I like Fawad Khan. Okay, I was so excited for his movie to release in India. And every time he finishes shooting for the movie, India cancels him. Now
Everything.
he's going
Like
back to Pakistan again.
He's so handsome.
this happens
My
every
client
time.
dear
Like
him.
he's
Every
somehow
time.
known as
'Cause he is a lucky charm, I guess. Every time he signs a movie, war starts. Oh God. I think we should start the session because people are leaving. Now they're like, this is a gossip session, no more a story session.
Okay, let's start.
now over to Yusuf.
Okay.
Good luck,
So
guys.
let me share my screen. Is my screen visible to you guys? Can you
Yes, it is.
screen? Yes. Okay. So hello guys again. I would like to introduce myself again. My name is Yusuf Buda. I'm IFMC Egypt Nouri and I'm a research trainer. And I'm really, really fond of research and I like exchanges. So it's like Scori for me is like a home. And I'm really excited to introduce you to some topics about Scori, like Ishleen and Zahra did, and continue with our 3-speaker session. Okay, so before I continue with my session, I always love to start my sessions with questions. So I would like to ask you, what do you think this phrase means or this word? It's called IMRAD. Have you ever heard of it? Have you ever seen it? Anyone? You can write in the chat too. M stands for manuscript. Okay, good guess. What else? Introduction, methods, result. Okay. Introduction and, okay, methods. Yes, okay. Okay, thank you, Abdullah and Aisha. Actually, I don't know if it's guesses or actual information that you have, but yeah, this phrase or this word, Imrad, it's actually, it's not a word, it's a collection of initials of some words. Okay, it basically stands for I for introduction, M for methods, R for results, A is a small a for and D for discussion. And before it, we have the abstract. So what this means, it means the structure of the research paper. And this is basically what we are going to discuss in this last part of the session. I'm going to discuss mainly two big things or two main topics, the structure of research paper, or what are the titles or the topics that you would read or write in your research paper. And the second thing we are going to discuss is the publication process or the publishing. If you want to finish your research after Zahras have discussed the planning phase and Ishleen have discussed how you can find stakeholders to fund your research, now you wrote your research and you want to publish it, you want to share it with everyone. So how you can do this, okay? So these are the two main topics we are going to discuss: the structure or the manuscript structure of the research paper, and then the publication process. Okay? Do you have any questions? Okay, so for the research paper, we have first thing, something called the abstract. So what does an abstract means? Abstract as an English word, it means when you give like a summary of something, okay? I have seen some resources say that abstract is, if you can think about it, is it relates to something called absolute extraction, okay? So this basically means that when you have a full research paper full of data, full of knowledge, full of a lot of information and numbers, and you want to give an idea for someone who doesn't want to put his time to read all of this. He just wants to, or they just want to read some specific topics. So you give a summarization of the research paper in the abstract. Okay. So you can define it is it's as a short version of the full text of the research paper, and it's helpful for paid articles and non-specialized readers. And why is this the case? Because if it's a paid article, if it's an article or a research paper that you need to pay to read it, and I mean, you wouldn't pay unless you know what you are paying for. So the abstract usually is for free. So you just read the abstract, you see if it's interesting for you and you want to pay or subscribe to read it. You usually read the abstract and decide based on it. And also for non-specialized readers. So suppose, or all of us are medical students, you're not really have a specialty right now. So you are reading something about cardiology or about neurosurgery. So you can read the abstract to understand the basic picture of the research, other than reading the full research and getting into details that you wouldn't really care about in the actual research. Okay. So it saves your time, it saves the reader's time, especially if you're not looking for something specific or something detailed, you just want to know the basic picture. Okay. Usually I think of the abstract as when you think of movies, the abstract could be the trailer. It's like short 3-minute or 5-minute video that maybe gives you an idea of what the movie will be. And if you like the trailer, you can continue and watch the full movie. Okay. So more or less, this is the abstract, but the difference is in the abstract, you wouldn't know the end or the full story of the movie, but the abstract, it actually tells you the full story of the research from the introduction to the methods, to the results, to the conclusion. So you know everything about the research in just like half a page or something like this. Okay. There are two ways to write an abstract. You can write it in a structured format. This means that you have also the titles of the research paper, like an introduction, methods, results, but all of it, it's just like for 3 lines. For example, the introduction, just 3 lines of introduction, methods, 2 lines of methods, 1 line of results, and 1 line of conclusion. And this you can have an abstract, or you can have it just as one paragraph without many titles or without a structure. And this can also work depending on the journal. Okay, so this is the abstract, and it's usually written in the end of the research. So if you are a researcher, if you made a research paper, you would write everything in your paper, and after you finish the manuscript, the main script, you will write the abstract because it's a summarization of everything you have wrote. Okay, is it okay? Do you have any questions? Okay. So the abstract is basically the first thing you will see whenever you read a research paper, okay? And then we have something called the introduction, okay? In other ways, we can call it the background, okay? So what is an introduction? The introduction is like a problem statement. It's like a background you provide for someone about your research. So if I'm doing a research about climate change, if I'm doing research about the conflict in Kashmir, if I'm doing an introduction about or a research about Palestine, I would give them an introduction about the conflict, about the area, about the disease, about whatever I want to let the person reading the research understand about this topic. Okay. And it has a very specific way of writing the introduction. You wouldn't write it as an essay or as a If you're writing in a magazine, if you're writing on social media, this is not the same way you write a research introduction. You write it in a way called the inverted funnel shape format. And what does this mean? It means that you start broad aspect, talking about the disease from early beginnings. What does the disease mean? For example, if we are talking about diabetes, you'll say that the diabetes is a problem with the pancreas or with insulin or with glucose in the blood, like giving very, very basic idea about the disease or about the problem, and then getting a little bit narrower to decide to talk about a specific problem. So for example, in diabetes, we are doing a research about a new drug. So you are saying that for diabetes, we have decided to tackle the problem of hypoglycemia, for example. So you start talking about hypoglycemia and then tackling another specific and narrower aspect of hypoglycemia, for example, a specific enzyme. So you discuss this enzyme again. So as you can see, we came from very broad and then we are getting narrower and narrower. Okay. So you keep getting narrower until you get in the end of this funnel shape. You get to state your hypothesis, state what you are going to do. So for example, in our research about diabetes, I'm saying that our new drug is going to affect some kind of enzyme to help treat the hypoglycemia. So I'm going to state this in my introduction. And this could be in another title called the aim of the project, or it can be in the same place as the introduction. Okay. So another way you can think about this funnel shape is three parts: the hook, the background, and the thesis. Okay. The hook is like when you catch someone's attention. So you start with giving interesting information to make the reader interested to continue research. And then you provide the background, as we stated. You start broad and then you keep going specific and specific as you go on. And then for the thesis, you provide what is your hypothesis, what are you going to do, what are you thinking about, etc. Okay. So this is how you write an introduction, and this is what the introduction should provide for someone reading about the topic. Okay. You can also check this figure. For example, saying that you start with a broad statement and then you state what is known and you only include the important and relevant information to your study. And then you identify the problem, or basically what is not known, okay, and the limitation of previous studies and so on. And then you say that how your study is aiming to address this problem, what are you going to do exactly? And then you mention your hypothesis and the research question. Okay, this Zahra have already discussed in the beginning of the session. Okay, all good? Okay, and then we have something called the methods. Okay, the methods usually comes after the introduction, and it should include everything involving the implementation of the research. So whether you are writing a protocol or you are writing the manuscript after you finished the research, the protocol is your plan basically, and the manuscript is the report of the research that you have done. So in the methods, you mentioned that what was your study design, where were your study conducted, what was the timeline, what was the type of study, how many people have you included, or what is the sample size, the inclusion and exclusion criteria, the demographics of the people in your study. You explain any tools that you have used. For example, you used a questionnaire or a survey in a cross-sectional study. Other than this, you explain, for example, the drug, if you gave it in a specific way, if you did some blinding in a clinical trial. All of this is mentioned in the methods. Okay. And then you also mentioned how you are going to analyze the data. What are the softwares that you will use to analyze or manipulate the data that you will gather. Okay. So this is for the methods. And then we have the results. And from this figure, you can guess that in the results section, we put the graphs, we put the numbers, we put everything related to the data analysis. Okay. So this is a logical part, or a logical second step after the methods, because we have mentioned that we have finished and collected our data in this way, and now we are going to analyze our data, and this is the results of the analysis. Okay, so in the results, you will find basically two types of statistics or of results. Firstly, the descriptive statistics, and descriptive means you are describing the population or the people who have been in your study. So, for example, I have included 100 patients. 50% of them were males, 50% were females. How many were aged above 20? How many were below 20? You are just describing the participants of the study without giving any interpretation or without giving any analysis or giving any meaning to this data. Okay. And then after the descriptive statistics, we have the analytical statistics. And this is where we start to give meanings. So, for example, in the analytical statistics, I say that the percentage of people had the new drug was high, and the percentage of people with this new drug had improvement in their diabetes symptoms or in their hypoglycemia. So this means that, as a meaning, this new drug treats hypoglycemia. You see, this is how I'm starting to use numbers to infer or give meanings to my data. Okay, so this is the difference between descriptive and analytical statistics. And also you are including figures, charts, and tables and numbers. This is where you include everything related to the numbers and results, okay? And the presentation of the results comes without interpretation or comments. Why is this the case? Because the interpretation or the comments, they come in the discussion section, which is the section to come, okay? So in the results, we're just putting the numbers. I'm just putting a table and saying that this percentage came with this percentage, and that's it. I'm not giving comments from my point of view. Giving comments from my point of view comes in this section, which is the discussion. Okay, so in the discussion, you start discussing your results. You basically explain your results. So, for example, in my study, I'll start saying, well, in our study, we found out that the more patients receive the drug or the higher the dose, the better the symptoms. And this can be related to blah, 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 blah. Okay. And then we can say that another study from, for example, Ishleen found out that similar examples happened with another drug called blah, blah, blah. And you start to discuss another studies who are accepting or agreeing with your point of view. Okay. And then you start also mentioning the results or the studies that are disagreeing with your point of view. So, for example, I'm going to say another study by Zahras found out that this result was not actually valid and blah, blah, blah. And you start explaining. Okay. So you can see in the discussion, we are explaining your results, other people results that agree with you, and other people results that disagree with you. Okay. And you try to put your point of view in this narrative. Okay. In the end of the discussion, you start to explain the limitations of your study. For example, we couldn't include a big number of participants because we didn't have enough money or we didn't have enough time, etc. Or, for example, if we still have not found a suitable drug for them, okay? And then you start giving your point of view about what would the next step be. So, for example, you give recommendation for a new researcher coming, giving that, we recommend that the new researchers include more people, or the new researchers include or have better time to see for all the results. Okay, so do you have any questions so far? We have basically included everything related to the research paper or the main topics. Okay. Okay, which sections come before the paywall? Okay, what do you exactly mean by the paywall? I don't really understand the question. You mean like when you are required to subscribe to read the paper? So you mean which
Yeah.
sections can you read?
Which sections we can read without paying, like without
Yes.
subscribing?
Okay, that's a really good question. As I mentioned, usually nearly 100% of papers you can read the abstract before paying. Some papers include also the introduction before the paywall. So you can find a paper that you can read the abstract and the introduction without paying. And if you want to read the other sections, you must pay or you must subscribe. Some other papers you need to only read the abstract. Some other papers, it's open access. You can read it all for free. So it depends on the journal, but usually it's the abstract. Okay. Okay, Hamdullah says how to extract text from literature review for your own paper. Okay, that's another good question. Actually, lately with the AI and technologies and new softwares, there are some softwares that you can basically write in the search box what kind of information you want to find or you want to cite in your paper, and they give it to you instantly, but it still needs some advancements and needs some validation. But the typical way to do it, you would just think about, for example, I want to find like a resource or something in the literature that gives me an idea about diabetes, or let's give another example about hypertension, for example. So you think, okay, I want to find the percentage of people with hypertension in Pakistan. So what you will do is you will go to PubMed and you will write hypertension and then Pakistan, and you will search for it and you will find some papers. You need to go through these papers and read them and then find out which ones were mentioning the percentage. So it requires more time. And as I mentioned, new technologies and new advancements are trying to solve this with AI, but it still needs more validation because sometimes, and I have faced this myself, sometimes AI, especially ChatGPT, it creates sometimes information from its own, like it's not actually there. They create research papers out of nowhere. So I think it still needs some validation to work or to depend on it, but it's there and you can use it as a beginning to find your specific information. Okay. Okay. So we have finished discussing basically the manuscript of the research paper. It's MRAD. And now we will suppose that you have finished writing your research paper and you have gone through all the steps, the previous steps. You have planned for your research. You have found a good stakeholder or someone externally to fund your research, and you have wrote your research and you have finished it. And now you are thinking about publishing it. Okay. And actually, publishing is really, really important for researchers. Usually people, when they go to research and want to do research, they think mainly about publishing because it's what gives you a validation professionally, and you can mention it in your CV. You can apply to a lot of opportunities because you published somewhere. So it's a good thing to publish. Okay. So how do you think we can publish research in a journal? Do you want to discuss with me? Does anyone has an idea about how can you actually publish your research? I saw in the beginning of the session, someone was saying you can publish it in Instagram comments. So do you think it's a good way to do it? Okay, journal finder. Okay. We have to approach relevant journals. Okay. PubMed. Okay. There are many journals. Yes. Okay. Google Scholar. Yeah. Yes, I think we are agreeing, Springer really, yes. I think we are agreeing that there are some journals that we should depend on to publish our research. We will know in the end of this session that it's not only journals that will help you to publish your research, but we cannot deny that journals are a really important stakeholder or a really important channel to publish your research through. Okay, and this is what we will discuss, and then we will discuss other various ways to publish your research outside the journals, but let's leave this in the end of the session. Okay, so there are some steps to do publishing. Yes, how will we approach them? That's a really good question, Halima, and that's we are going to discuss. How to publish your journal, how to publish your research, and we have some steps for this. Okay, you will find them as 7 steps, but I have like made obvious 2 important steps because these are the really important steps to publish your research, but generally you will follow through 7 steps. First of all, you have to draft a list of the possible journals to see like the options that you have. Okay, and we will discuss this step in details soon. Then you have to decide your journal from this list. So you have a list of basically 5 or 3 or 7 journals, and then you decide, okay, I will choose this journal to start publishing in. After you decide the journal, you will submit your manuscript to this journal. and wait for something called the peer review process. Okay, peer reviewing is really important. Probably you have heard about it before. Peer reviewing basically means um, reviewing of your research, of the quality and the manuscript that you have submitted, and you will get an answer. So you either get a revision of your manuscript telling you to edit some parts in this manuscript, or resubmission. This could mean that, okay, after you revised, you would submit it again, or you get rejected and the journal is not interested in publishing the research that you have submitted, and you will have to resubmit it to another journal from your list. So you can get back to this step again, okay? Or you can get something we all hope for, which is the acceptance. And after you submitted your paper and got through the peer review process, you get accepted and they give you a date of submission to the journal and publication. Okay. So after it's accepted and published, actually, some people think it's done or the steps are done, but actually there is a really important step here, which is the post-publication impact and evaluation, which is basically you are following up with your publication, you are following up with the scientific community and seeing if you need any more edits or evaluation of your research. Okay, so this is how you, in very, very broad aspect, how you would publish a research after you have finished drafting the manuscript. And then we are going to discuss really two important steps, which are how to draft a list of the possible journals to publish in and the peer review process. Okay? Are you following up with me so far? Do you have any questions? Okay. Okay. So how can we draft a list of the possible journals to publish in? Okay. So for this step, I would like to discuss with you something called the SJR, or the Saimago Journal and Country Bank. Okay. And in it, we are going to discuss basically three things, but I will focus on the H index. Probably you have heard of something called the H index or the quartiles of journals. We are going to go through this. Okay, so if you have never heard about this, don't be scared or don't get worried. We are going to discuss it in really detail right now. So let me get to the website. No, wait, yes. So I'm going to go to this website. It's called SJR. You can visit it after the session or right now if you would like. It's basically a website that it's like a pool for all the journals you can use to publish your research in. Okay, and how can you use it? This is the main page of the website. Okay, you can use to the journal ranks. You explore it this way, and then you have this big database of different journals you can use to publish your research. So let's suppose for the same, okay, well, yes, you will get the slides. So let's suppose we are in the same example of your research about diabetes. So I want to see the papers or the journals that are interested in publishing my research about diabetes. Okay, so from here you can go to the, okay, sorry about the ad. You can go to the different filters you can use, and we can here write or find neuroscience, nursing, psychology. Okay, I think we can go through medicine. So this is like the broad filter you can use. Okay, so here I have filtered all the journals about medicine. So any other journal about, I don't know, nursing, agriculture, arts, it's gonna be excluded, and we only included medicine. And then the categories, here's different specialties. So anatomy, dermatology, we can find something like endocrinology, yes, diabetes and metabolism. So this is a good filter for us. And let's say I'm in Egypt, so I want to publish in my country. So, or maybe in the Middle East, because it's my area, so I can find Middle East. So I want to find journals about endocrinology and diabetes for medicine in the Middle East. So here I have some papers. You can see one here in UAE, one in Turkey, one in Iran. That's it. So from this, you can see the different journals you have, and you can click on one of them to go to their website and have more information about it. So let's give another example. For example, you are in Pakistan, you want to see journals specifically in Pakistan about this type of research that you have. So we can find here Pakistan. Okay, so maybe we have made too many filters, so we can choose all subject categories. So we want to find journals about medicine in Pakistan. Here we found one called Asian Journal of Agriculture and Biology, Pakistan Journal of Medical Science, etc. So here you have some journals that you can use. Let's say I want to publish internationally. I'm not interested in only one country. I want to publish in all the countries around the world. So here you have different journals about medicine. This is our filter that we are using. What does this year mean? Basically, this website ranks the journals based on different factors. We will discuss them. But here you can choose the year from which you want to use a ranking. So here's the 2024 ranking. I can use the 2023 ranking. So it depends on what you want to use. Let's use the 2024 ranking because it's the most recent one. Okay. So here we have the highest or the top rated journal in medicine all over the world. It's called CA Cancer Journal for Clinicians. It's in the US. Okay. So before we go to this journal and look through it and understand how can we publish in it, let's see why is it the top ranked paper all over the world. Okay. So you can find here, there's something called the H index. Okay. And here you have different numbers for different journals. We don't know what this means yet. We have something called the SJR. SJR basically is referred to the name of this website, and it's a specific type of ranking or a type of indicator that it's only related to this website. And that's what they are using to rate their papers on, rate the journals on. Okay. And what does this Q1 mean? Okay, you can find here all Q1, Q1, Q1. If you keep going down, let's go to the other page. I think we are going to stay like this. So let's make another filter to make it a little bit contained. So we are looking for papers in Africa. Now we have seen something called Q2 and then something called Q3. Some journals are Q3. Okay, so what does Q mean? Q means quartile or like 1/4. Okay, so this is another method of ranking the journals in this website in SJR is that they rank the journals. For example, we have 20 journals. We rank them 1, 2, 3, or first, second, third until 20th. And then we divide them into 4 quarters. So the top 5 journals are in the first quartile or in the first 5 journals. And then from the 6th to the 10th, you have the second quartile or the Q2. And then you have the Q3 from 11 to 15, and then you have Q4 from 16 to 20. Okay, so if I tell you that I'm publishing in a journal called, or in a journal that is Q1, this means that I'm publishing in a journal that is in the top quartile of all the journals. Okay, if I'm telling you it's Q2, so it's in the second quartile, and so on. Okay, is that clear for you? Do you have any questions? I hope it's clear for you because this is really important to understand when you are trying to find a specific journal to publish your research in, because when you know it's Q1, you mean, or you understand that it's top ranked. If it's Q2, you understand that it's in the second quartile. So it's not in the top, but it's also not a bad one. If it's Q3, so it's almost down there. If it's Q4, so it's in the last quartile of the journals. Okay. So this is for the quartiles. We have covered it. Now we want to understand something called the H index. And you can see that they are using the H index to also rank the journals somehow. So what does H index mean? Does anyone have an idea about H index? Have you ever heard of H index? Do you understand what it means? You can open up the mic and say, or you can write in the chat. So we can approach any journal irrespective of the region. Technically, yes, but I will discuss more on that each journal has specific requirements to publish in or to submit your manuscript. Okay, this is something we are going to discuss later. But for example, let's say that the journal in Pakistan, they have specific requirement that only students in Pakistan are allowed to submit their manuscripts to them. So if I'm a student in Egypt, I cannot submit. Okay, so unless the journal have a specific requirements for the geographic region, it's allowed for you to publish anywhere. Okay. So H index, Halima says, how many times cited? Yes, in a way, but it's a little bit more complicated than this. Okay, I think if you have any more idea about H index you want to share with us, you can say it before we go on to discuss it. Okay. It's somehow a way to rank the impact factor. Okay, the impact factor is another topic, but okay. So what is H index? H index, it's a factor that is used for both journals and researchers. Okay, yes, it can mean how powerful the research is, and it can mean how powerful the journal is, and it can mean how powerful the researcher is. So me as Yusuf, I can have an H index. The journal can have an H index. It can go for both journals and researchers or people, okay, and authors. So how can you calculate an H index, or what does it mean? Basically, it means that it's a comparison between the number of papers in the journal and the number of citations for that papers or for these papers. In other words, if you have a journal that have published 10 papers or 10 research, okay, so I have a journal that have published throughout its history 10 research papers, okay, and these research papers, they have citations. People have used them in their research, and this means citation. So if other researchers use this research in their publication, it's called one citation. So for example, if paper one have been cited 6 times, this means that 6 authors have used this paper in their research and they have published it. Okay, so let's say that paper one have 6 citations, paper two have also 6 citations, which means that it has been cited by 6 people. Paper three has 4 citations, okay, and paper four has only 2 citations. So it was cited by only 2 people. So if you rank the papers depending on the number of citations they have, you can see that paper 1 and 2, okay, they have 6, and then paper 3, it has 4, paper 4 has 2 citations. And you can see we are comparing here between the number or the rank of the paper and the number of citations it has. So paper 1 has 6 citations, so 1 is less than 6, so you can go on. 2 has 6 citations, so 2 is less than 6, so we can go on. 3 has 4 citations, so 3 is less than 4, we can go on. 4 has only 2 citations, and 4 is more or is bigger than 2, so you stop, okay? And you stop and you go to the last rank, the previous rank, which was 3, so this means that the H index will be 3, okay? Is that clear? So for example, let's say I'm a researcher who have published only 5 researches. My first research was published or was cited 10 times, and my second research was cited only 1 time, and my other publications, they were not cited at all. What will be my H index? I want you to answer me this. If you want me to repeat it again, I will. Yes, okay, I will repeat. So I am a researcher. I have published five papers. Okay, I have published 5 researches. And my first research I have published was cited 10 times. Okay, so it was used by 10 people. My second research I published, it was used by only 1 person and it was cited only 1 time. And everything else from my research was not cited at all. It has 0 citations. So what will be my H index? Okay, 1, 1. Okay. Does anyone has any other idea? Do you think it should be 2 or 5? Okay. So I think we are agreeing that it's 1. And why is it 1? Yes, it's 1. Why is it 1? Because my first research, it was cited by 10 people. So 1 is less than 10, so we can go on. But then my second research or my second paper, it was cited by only one person, and 2 is bigger than 1. So you can't go on and you go to the previous rank, which was 1. Okay, so we can have a real life example from here. Wait, okay, in the Scimago or in the website. Okay, because only one article has more than one citation. Exactly. So here we have this first journal. The H index is 223. Can anyone tell me what does this mean? What does this mean for this journal? Anyone? I'm waiting for you guys. You can open also the mic and tell me if you want. Citation from this journal research papers. Okay, yes. Okay, specifically for this number, what does this number tell us? Okay, I can tell you if you are confused. I hope no one is confused, but I can say it again. That its 24th article had 223 citations. Okay, you're almost right. This means that the 2023rd article, like not the 2024th, like I will write it in the chat to avoid any confusion. The 2023rd or the 223rd article had 223 citations or had more than 223 citations. But the 224th article had less than 224 citations. So this means that we stopped at the previous rank. Okay. So I like the way that Khanzada, I hope I'm saying the name right, wrote it in the chat, because only one article has more than one citation. So we can say it also for this example. So for this journal, only 223 articles had more than 223 citations, and the 224th journal paper had less than 224 citations, so we stopped at this. Okay, I hope it's clear. If anyone is confused, you can please tell me. We can continue to explain it. Okay. Yes, it's kind of tricky, but once you get it, okay, I will explain it again. So it's up to us to rank the publication irrespective of the date to increase the H index. No, if you saw what I was saying, that we were using a specific year. So here I was using 2023. If you go to 2024, I guess the number can change. Okay. Okay, it have changed for some journals. So it stayed the same for this journal, but it changed for some journals. So you choose the year on which you are deciding the H index, and you don't decide it by your own. You actually choose or see the citations that was for this journal in this year and decide upon it how much the H index is. Okay, so to explain it again, we have a researcher that have published 10 papers. Okay, first paper has 6 citations, second paper has 6 citations, third paper has 4 citations, and the fourth paper has 2 citations. So basically you compare these two numbers. You compare between 1 and 6, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, and 4 and 2. You keep comparing until you reach a point where this number is no more less than this number. As long as this number, the number on the left, is less than the number on the right, you can go on. Once you have reached the point where the number on the left is bigger than the number on the right, this means that you need to stop and you decide to take this number for the H index. So here the H index will be 3. If we continued and the paper 4 had, for example, 4 citations, okay, so we will go on to paper number 5, okay? So basically you compare the rank of the papers with their number of citations, and you rank them based on the amount of citations they had. So we are ranking them 6, then 4. So we are ranking them, we are sorting them depending on the amount of citations they had. Okay. Okay. So I hope it's obvious for you now. So for example, if we say that this journal had 155 H index, this means that only 155 papers from this journal had more than 155 citations. Okay, and the paper that is ranked 156th had less than 156 citations, so we stopped at 155, and this is the H index for them. Okay, amazing. So this is a way of ranking the journals. The scientists or the scientific community have decided to use it to rank the journals based on this H index. And if you think about it, why did they use this type of why did they use this type of citations or this type of ranking, which is a little bit complicated? This is because they are trying to use the citations or the citation numbers, because this is like in YouTube, for example, the views, the citations are like the views for the researchers. So the more citations you get, supposedly the better research you have. So this means your journal is better. Okay, and this is how we rank the journals depending on their H index, and then we give them quartiles and decide this is Q1, this is Q2, and this is Q3. The other indicator that they are using, I'm giving you this information as a bonus. I'm not going to discuss it in detail to not make you more confused, but if you see this SJR, this indication, you can see that this is the indication or the indicator that they are using to rank the journals. So here you can find this is 145, this is 41, this is 30. Okay, what does this mean? The SJR, it's really similar to the H index, but it has different or like a little bit of differences to the H index. Basically, it uses something called the weighted citations. Weighted citations mean that if your citation was from a Q1 journal, this means, for example, 5 points. But if your citation was from Q2, it means, for example, 2 points. And if it's from Q3, it's 1 point. And if it's from Q4, it's 0.5 point. Okay, so basically they give different points depending on the Q1 or like the quartile of the journal that you had the citation from. Okay, it's a little bit more complicated, but to make it more relevant to the ranking of the journals. Does it matter in your CV? Of course, it matters in your CV, because if I'm telling you that I published my research in a Q1 journal, it's not the same as publishing your research in a Q3 journal. And if I'm telling you that my H index is 23, it's not the same as my H index is 1. Okay, it's a kind of ranking to your scientific accomplishments. And this is what usually the universities use when they are deciding to promote someone to be a professor. If you would like to be promoted to a professor, it has a lot of other factors like the years of experience and so on. But one of them, which is really important, it's the H index of you as a researcher or as a professor. If you have a certain amount of H index, it also depends on the university. But if you have like a threshold number of H index, you can be promoted to a professor. If you don't have it, you cannot be qualified or promoted to a professor. So it's really, really important for your CV. And I hope you understand it now well, because if you are willing to go through research and publish more, you need to understand this topic well. Okay. Do you have any more questions regarding the H index? Okay. So let's get back to the peer review process. So I was discussing with you that you are trying to publish your research. This is basically a flow chart of what you could do when you are trying to publish your research. So you are the author. First of all, you submitted your manuscript, and then the journal editor or the journal editor is basically like the chef or the main guy in the journal. He sees your manuscript. He's not looking for technical or scientific mistakes, but only looking for some specific guidelines for the journal. I was mentioning before that there are some specific guidelines for every journal to publish. So for example, we can see that for this journal, if you go to their link, you will go to the website of the journal. You can see that, okay, the country, the area, the publisher, okay. And you can here understand more about, okay, how to publish in this journal. You can see that this link will lead you to a website. And in this website, you will have like a guideline or like steps to how to publish in this journal. And this is how you should use this website. SciMago website. So, for example, I'm interested to publish in the CA Cancer Journal, so you can see an important message, I don't know, discussing some things, and then you should log in to see the specific guidelines to publish. Okay, so if you would like, if you are interested to publish in this journal, you have to understand the specific guidelines for them. Other than this, okay, let's get back to the slideshow. Other than this, your manuscript will be rejected even before it gets peer reviewed. So as we saw, this journal was about cancer and my research is about diabetes. So if I publish my topic, which is irrelevant or unrelated to cancer, it will be rejected even before it gets peer reviewed because this is a waste of resources for the journal. So you need to check pretty well for example, they have guidelines for the font you use, for the size of the Word PDF file you submit, etc. So you need to follow these guidelines before you submit your manuscript. After you submit it, the manuscript gets peer reviewed. Some peers or some reviewers get to review your paper scientifically, and they are reading what you have done in your research. And then they decide whether to publish or not publish, and then you are informed of the decision. Okay, so this is basically the flow chart of how to publish your research. Am I clear so far? Do you have any questions? Please, if you have any questions, please tell me. Okay, what if we apply in more than one journal and get accepted by 2 or 3? So it's ethical to get published by all? Okay, this is another good question. Actually, a lot of journals, they have in their guidelines that if you published or submitted your research in another journal before, do not submit it again. And it's generally, it's like a common rule that you shouldn't submit your paper or submit your research in more than one journal at the same time. You should wait for the journal that you have submitted to until they give you an answer. And depending on that answer, you decide. So for example, if they accept you, so you are accepted. If you are rejected, you can try with another journal. But to go and publish or submit your research in 5 journals at the same time, this is unethical and you cannot do this. And I guess if the journals find out about this, they will probably disregard your research even if it gets accepted. So you shouldn't do this. You should submit it at one journal at a time. Okay. Okay. So the peer review process, as I was explaining, it's basically some experts or peers in the field that you are putting your research in. They evaluate it before it gets published. Okay. And you basically have one of those 5 decisions. Basically, it gets accepted without any changes. And this is really super. Or it gets accepted with only minor revisions. And this basically means acceptance. So it's accepted, but you just need to edit this font or change this word. So it's some minor revisions. Or it gets accepted only after major revisions. So it's conditional acceptance. So this means that your paper will only be accepted if you did those edits. If you did not do those edits, your paper will be rejected. And then revise and resubmit. So this is conditional rejection. This means that your journal will probably get rejected. Please revise it again and submit it. Okay. Or it gets rejected outrightly. So this means that it's rejected without any revisions. Okay. So you get one of those 5 decisions. Do you have any questions so far? Okay. So finally, with our last part of the session, the types of publications. I have said in the beginning of my session that there are different ways to publish your research other than the usual journal way to publish your research. So do you have any ideas how to publish your research or share it with the community without using the journals? Do you have any idea about this? Conferences, yes, that's a good idea. What else? Any idea? Posters, yes. Usually posters are used in conferences. Original articles, okay. I'm not really sure about what does this means, but okay. So we have different types of publications other than the usual journals. One of them is actually conferences, yes. Systematic reviews and meta-analysis. Okay, systematic reviews and meta-analysis are a type of research. We can publish them in journals and in other places like conferences. This is not what I'm meaning by types of publication. What I'm meaning by types of publication are, for example, okay, category, Instapost. Okay, that's a good idea. Okay, we have different types of publishing. One of them is journal publication. This is the typical one we have been discussing. Another one is conference publication, when you share your research findings in a conference. So the same example I was using. So for example, I'm going to a conference about diabetes and I am sharing my research about diabetes in that conference. So I'm not using a journal, I'm publishing my research in a conference. This is something we usually do in IFMSA. So in the AM or the August meeting or the General Assembly of IFMSA, we have something called the research fair. And in this research fair, we share different research about or done by medical students about different topics. So this can be used or included as a publication. Okay. Then we have something called the preprint services. We will discuss this in the last slide. We have something like open science platforms and data repositories. This means like something like social media, I would say, but it's a little bit more formal social media. And it's where you can share your research with the community without going through the peer review process. So it's a less regarded type of publication, but it's still considered a publication, and you can use a DOI for your research for that, for example. And then we have other typical ways like the theses or dissertations that usually the postgraduates do, the book chapters, or if you are writing a book, or for example, something we also do in IFMSA, which are policy papers and technical reports. Policy papers are considered a part of publication. Okay. So simple presentation in the conference also count as publications. Technically, yes, it's not counted as research papers, but it could be counted as publishing. Okay. And this is actually a topic of major discussions. So the preprint services, what does this mean? The preprint services, you can see this is one example of a preprint service. It's a website called Med Archive or Med Archive. Okay. And you can see that this website, they have a caution that says the preprints are preliminary reports that have not been certified by peer review. So basically, this is a research paper that you have done, and it was not peer reviewed, but you want to share it with the scientific community without getting through the peer review process. So you can do this. Yes, you can do this on something called the Med Archive or this website. And it's not really regarded a scientific typical publication, but it could be used to share your findings. So for example, you are a student who found really interesting results and want to share it with the scientific community, but you don't want to go through this complicated setup of peer reviewing and so on. So you use this website like the Med Archive. There are other websites like Zenodo. You can also use it to share your publications without getting through the peer review process. I have done this for one of the research I have done. The letter to editors, this is a good question. The letter to editor could be also published in medRxiv and also could be published in a journal. It depends on, you want to publish it in a journal, you share it to the journal. If they accept it to publish it, it's fine. They publish it in their journal. If they don't, you can publish it here. So basically, this is for any type of scientific literature you want to share and you don't want to go through the complicated peer review process. As I was saying, I used this in a personal study I have done when I was a student. In my third year, I did a research with my fellows, with my colleagues, and I was really interested in this research and I wanted to publish it somewhere, and I submitted it to a journal, but it was rejected. And I got a little bit disappointed. But in the end, I found out about this website and I decided I want to share the findings or my research with the community. And at the same time, I know that maybe through the peer review, it will not get accepted. So I decided to publish it here. So it could be a good plan B for your research if you don't get the publication. And at the same time, you can still share your findings. Okay. No, you don't need money to publish here in medRxiv. Also, to be sure, I'm not really sure about medRxiv. for my research, I used Zenodo. It's another website, and it didn't ask for any money, and it was shared, and I even had a DOI for my research. So I wouldn't say it's like a typical publication. Usually for the CV or for the professional regard, it wouldn't be so professionally regarded. It wouldn't give you, for example, an H index, but it could be used as a type of sharing your findings with the scientific community. So it's a good way to also share your results without getting through the complicated process. Okay. Do you have any more questions? I hope I was understandable and not complicated. Okay. If you don't have any more questions, okay, someone sent in the chat. Okay, amazing. So if you don't have any more questions, I have finished my session, and I hope it was beneficial to you, and I think we can get back to Aisha. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Yusuf. That was such an amazing session.
Thank you.
Like, I would really take a moment to sincerely appreciate your effort for, like, you're putting into making sure we all understand different concepts clearly. I mean, you're like, literally, you're taking the time to explain different concepts and even repeating things so patiently. Like, we truly appreciate your extra effort. Thank you so much for your dedication.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Yusuf, for your time and explaining everything in such a detail. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Looking forward for many more collabs like this.
Yes, yes, me too. I'm really interested to collaborate more, and whenever, like when I had the invitation from the president, I was really interested to join. So yeah.
And yet, to all the participants, thank you for your active engagement and enthusiasm throughout the session. Like, your energy made today's learning experience even more special. Well, with that, we officially conclude today's session. Please don't forget to fill out the post-evaluation form that will be sending in the WhatsApp group, as your feedback is very important to us. So yeah, thank you once again, and we look forward to seeing you all in future sessions. Take care and have a great day ahead. Yep, you may now leave the meeting. Thank you once again, everyone.